Hello everybody, this is Laura Susan Johnson. I'm sorry I'm whispering right now, but it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. And there is a thunderstorm approaching, or actually it's here. It's raining. There might be occasional thunder in this review, who knows. I'm going to try to review in under a half hour Terminator 2, Judgment Day. This is one of my favorite sequels, and as I said before, I think that T1 and T2 are the only movies that really matter to me anymore in the Terminator quote-unquote franchise. I know that I said mean things about T3 and T-Salvation before, but I have to add that there are some good things in them. I did give them both 6 to 7 stars each, and I never changed my opinion. Well, actually, I just watched T-Salvation the other day for the first time in its entirety, and ironically, about a half hour after I uploaded my review of T-Salvation, I found out that actor Anton Yelchin passed away tragically. Very, very untimely death. I'm very sad and depressed about it. It's just terrible. It's a shame. Just a tragic accident, and I'm very, very sad about it. But anyway, I think he was the best part of T-Salvation. I think that he captured Kyle Reese very, very well, very eloquently, I might add. So, it's a great loss, and he will be missed. I thought he was my favorite part of the Star Trek reboots. You know, for the most part, I very highly disliked the Star Trek reboots, but he, along with the new Dr. McCoy, were some of the best things about the Star Trek reboots. So anyway, Terminator 2, I tried to review it a while ago, and it went into almost an hour of rambling, so I can't do that. It's great. It has flaws. I mentioned before that Edward Furlong, for the most part, he is very brilliant, especially as a newcomer. There are a few screechy, obnoxious parts, you know, but it's not really his fault. I think he was just written to be fun and kind of a obnoxious, rebellious kid. He's certainly not a 10-year-old, so I assume that this story, I'm going to just assume for my own sanity that the story takes place in 1997, perhaps several months before the projected date of Judgment Day takes place. Because he's clearly not a 10-year-old. He's too old. They should have casted a younger actor, or just, you know, been more clear. I mean, the movie was released in 1991, but it's gotta take place in 96 or 97 at the very, very earliest in the timeline. Edward Furlong's gotta be 12, 13 at the youngest. At the very youngest. There's no way he's younger than that. So anyway, I don't really think it's a huge problem, but it definitely kind of just, it's a burr in my side unless I, you know, try to remedy it in my head. I absolutely hate the song Bad to the Bone. I've hated it all my life. I just, there's so many songs they could have used besides that to deliver the point that Arnold is a badass in leather, and he's getting on a Harley once again, and he's going to kick ass and be, you know, Mr. Mr. Tough Guy. I mean, there's just so many songs, and they just picked the worst damn song. I hate that fucking song. Okay, that's gripe number 2. I think, really, I don't know. I don't really think there are any other gripes aside from those 2. It's a great movie. State-of-the-art CGI. Great acting all across the board, even by Arnold. He wanted to be the good guy. That's great. I think he should have, as an actor, to make his career, more authentic and less of a punchline, as it were. He should have branched out. He should have taken more risks. He should have played bad guys and good guys. He should have, done what everybody does, what a lot of people do anyway. But, see, the thing about, I just have to divert a little bit. As I've said before, when I was a little girl, it was John Wayne, the archetype, rides in on the horse, macho, never cries. Reese comes along in '84, and he's a skinny, malnourished, living on either canned food or rats, tender-hearted, nurturing, and yet badass bitch. And he takes heroes, and he basically introduces you to an alternative hero, somebody that you can identify with, especially if you have a alternative gender identity like I have. And so does Sarah Connor. She's not just a damsel in distress that screams, help me, Popeye, help me, Popeye. She's tough. She gets tougher as the years go on, but she starts out pretty strong. She's not a crybaby. She's just not, I don't know, she's just identifiable. She's not she's not Princess fucking Peach. So, when Arnold decided he was only going to play good guys, he went on to do Raw Deal, and he went on to do Predator, and he went on to do The Commando, and he basically kind of turned it right the fuck back around to where it was like the cigar-chomping, macho fucking, bulging biceps, it was really bad. And that's why it's not Arnold Schwarzenegger who makes the movies great for me, or who's my favorite part of them. It's the story, it's the theme, it's Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor, it's John Connor, it's the battle, it's the stakes, it's the human battle for survival. It's all of that. It's not Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was never a hero to me. Even when he played the good guy, he was just an assistant, really. Sarah Connor is the hero of T2, really. Arnold, he's a star, he's got top billing, but who's the hero? It's Sarah Connor fighting to protect her son. And who sends the Terminator? He's merely a machine. John Connor in the future reprograms this machine to come back and assist. What was the first machine? Just a program sent by other programs to kill her. The Terminator, everybody used to say, Arnold became my hero after the Terminator. It's like, why? He was not only the villain, but he was just this program. He was a fucking robot. He didn't have a brain or a heart or a soul. He was just a program, basically built to kill somebody. He was a computer that looked like a man. That's all it was the looks. My brothers always loved Arnie's movies, and Arnie always plays the hero. Kindergarten Cop, that was a cool movie. I liked it, but I don't know. Junior I like because Arnold becomes, feminine, and That's nurturing. That was super nurturing. That was you didn't get to see the muscles. He never showed muscles except when he actually got impregnated. It was a strange movie, but it ended up being one of my favorite Arnold movies. Kindergarten Cop, Junior, Terminator 2, Terminator 1. What else has he been in that I like? I've never seen Twins, to be honest, but I did like Junior, so, by Ivan Reitman. I don't know. I can't really think of any others that stand out to me. Linda Hamilton gives a great performance. She trained hard. She's not bulky or steroid queen looking. She's just lean and muscular, and she looks great. She looks healthy, ready to kick ass, and she does kick ass. She's a little psychotic, but after all she's been through, how can you expect anything less? And I do mean less. She apparently attempted to blow up Cyberdyne, and she's been locked away in a facility run by the very guy who said he'd make a career out of Kyle Reese. Now he's making a career out of Sarah Connor, and it's Dr. Silver. I want to call him Silverberg, but it's Silberman. I always want to call him Silverberg for some reason. Anyway, Earl Bowen, he reprises his role in that, and it's really great. He does a great job. The crowning moment is when he realizes that, oh my God, she's been telling the truth, and so was that crackpot soldier she was hanging out with. They were all telling the truth. And the syringe drops out of his mouth, and later on he does that cameo in T3, and he still looks like he's half nuts himself after he's witnessed what he's seen. But anyway, he's great. He plays a dickhead, of course, and he's got some real sleazeballs working for him. They beat her up, they tase her, they force medicine down her throat. One of them licks her. Oh, what a sleazebag. Just gross. What a pig. Dougie. Man, what an awkward acting moment that must have been for those two. Her having to lay perfectly still while he slathers his tongue all over. Yuck. Ugh. Doggy kisses. Anyway. Yeah, it has some pretty freakish moments, pretty jarring moments, especially the director's cut. But I love the director's cut because it has so much footage that enriches the story. Michael Biehn does do a small cameo, and that kind of helps establish what motivates Sarah to really want to get the hell out, because he comes to her while she's been forced to take Thorazine, so she has to go to sleep, and she dreams that he comes to her and tells her, you need to get out of here and go protect John, because now he's the target, and there's not a whole lot of time left before Judgment Day comes. And it just kind of tells you what helps her start really telling Dr. Silberman, I've been on good behavior. Can't I have visitors? Can't I see my son? I really need to help him. And when Silberman says, "Oh, I don't think so. You're only telling me what I want to hear," and then she gets, furious and blows it again. But you can see why she's so desperate, because of that dream she had. Robert Patrick is great in it. He does a terrific job. It's one of his first, I think it's his main role. Unfortunately, he went on to do some really crappy movies like Double Dragon and, I don't know, not too many terrible things, I don't imagine, but Double Dragon was one low point in his career. But in T2, he's brilliant. He makes for a perfect Terminator. Blank facial expressions, economic bodily movements. I love it how all three of them, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Robert Patrick, and then Christian Loken, all three of them were able to run with their mouths closed, without panting, without having their mouths open, gasping for air, because running is very hard to do even when you're in good shape. It's just basically another chase movie, but instead of a kind of a romantic love story in the center of it, it's more of a family unit, kind of this wacky, you got your mom and her kid, and that's a real family, but then you've got a makeshift kind of a dad / Uncle Bob, they kind of a nickname, but they don't really use it a lot. They just say it the one time in front of the friend in Mexico that Sarah borrows she borrows the truck from, and she gets the weapons that she's stashed. She has the dream, and she decides that maybe it's a good idea to go try and get rid of Miles Dyson. He's played by Joe Morton, who was in Speed and several other movies that I've seen in the early 90s and maybe in the 2000s. I can't remember a lot of them, but Speed was one movie he's been in. And Miles Dyson's a great character. You learn that he's not a nasty, villainous person. He's just some guy that, started doing research based on this chip and based on this arm that were left behind in the Cyberdyne factory, and he doesn't know what his research leads to. So when the Terminator degloves himself, which I found that moment way more gory than anything in Terminator 1. Believe me, I found some moments in T2 much more horrifying. The tongue, the guy licking Sarah Connor like a dog. That was like, yeek. The nuclear apocalypse, the nuke mare, as I call it, where she dreams of LA getting nuked and burning alive, and being woken up and then deciding to go get Miles Dyson and get rid of him. And then the Terminator, cutting his arm and then degloving his arm and revealing the endoskeleton underneath. I mean, that was gory compared to anything in T1, really, honestly. So I'm glad they gave it a hard R rating, because T2 is every bit as violent. There's no sexuality or anything in it, but there's plenty of violence, shooting, gunplay, lots of good stuff. So we will see you next time, when I will be doing other movies, other genres. Maybe I'll do Meet Me in St. Louis next. I don't know. Starring Judy Garland. It's a good movie.